Let's dive into it. I think that's a good opportunity. So you guys have heard that story, and that was fun to kind of share, because it's like, all right, man, like what the hell? I was even like, before he blocked me, I was like, well, I might just extend an invite to the podcast and see if he wants to come on and, you know, talk about it, you know, talk about the whole thing, because I think, especially because I think it's important to call out bad actors that are on your side, right? Yeah. Is there more? Oh, full breakdown. Boom. Sweet. Thank you. It was a hidden link. All right. Okay. I'm gonna mute Discord Yammering for a little bit, and that way we can do some reading, and I might jump back in, and we'll go from there. Oh, sorry. Sorry. What were you gonna say?
Take your time.
Okay. All right. Let's do this thing. Let's see here. We'll see if we can't make a highlight so that people are like, well, that was an hour of waiting to get to the patch notes. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you guys for the 40 likes, by the way. All right, let's jump into the Season of Opportunity. This is the New World Aeternum release. Ooh, it starts off with a big subject here, guys. Target lock changes. This was and had to be perhaps one of the biggest thing that was going on. And what we'll do also, just as a form of just kind of keeping this as a conversation rather than me just reading to you, is that we'll hit these different sections, and then we'll take a pause, and I'll make sure if there's any questions that I get those answered for you guys. All right. Thanks again to everybody who took the time to not only participate in the open beta, but also leave extremely detailed constructive feedback. That deserves a highlight. All right, there we go. We have made the following changes to target lock. Note that these changes only affect PvP-PvE, still behaves the same as it did before. Okay. So these changes are only for PvP. That's good to know. All right, cool. Now, killing a PvP opponent in target lock will no longer automatically switch to another target. So this confirms target lock is still there. This has led to situations where an ability to progress would instantly target another player when the current target was killed. This maneuver wouldn't be possible with manual aiming on keyboard and mouse, so we removed it. Okay. A target lock now breaks more aggressively when losing line of sight on your target. Breaking the line of sight briefly will lose the lock, which allows easier evasion and better preserves stealthy gameplay in PvP. It's going to be interesting to see, because again, they haven't taken it away. But I thought, and that's the thing I even said on the live stream when we were talking about this, was I think they, you know, if they do keep it, they can definitely make some adjustments to it so that it isn't essentially just a, you know, a tab targeting game at that point. A character's turn speed is now slower when using targeting lock. That's actually really good to see. They've slowed the character's speed when using targeted lock. This results in slower tracking speed for targets, meaning that homing attacks will miss more often on a moving target. So if you want to defend, you gotta be you know, crab walking back and forth. We go from there. Temporary blunderbuss now deals less damage in PvP. We agree that the player feedback that the guaranteed hit just doesn't feel right. To mitigate this, we temporarily reduce the blunderbuss's base damage in PvP to compensate for the guaranteed hit. We will continue to investigate long-term solutions to be implemented in the near future. Crossworld and Arena improved matchmaking. Finding matches in 3v3 arenas will now be much easier thanks to Crossworld matchmaking. We've also introduced skill-based matchmaking to both arenas and Outpost Rush. Look forward to higher quality matches against other players of similar skill. Finally, we'll add role selections to these modes. Okay. Similar to Expeditions, we will now split roles better between teams for a more balanced experience. That's really good to see. New PvP zone, the Cursed Mist. The foggy southwest reaches a Cutlass Keys, or a lawless place where the golden greed curse of Las Esperanzas treasure drives fortune hunters to murderous madness. Even the closest companions are liable for a lengthy betray of one another. Gather cursed doubloons and resources, and you'll have to escape before the other looters steal your spoils. Get a better idea of what to expect from the developer deep dive, which we covered here on the channel as well. The mouse and keyboard can use the target lock. Well, I think that at that point it's only fair, but it's going to be interesting to see, especially how that plays out. Now, Newspring asks, am I taking part in the Trials of Aeternum? I am not. I don't consider myself a streamer, and even though you were hanging out with me for a live in this case, just note that there's just no way that I could even consider to try and take 3 weeks to just do this thing, to do the Trials of Aeternum. So no, I did the partnership on the controller guide video, which was a great. It was an honor to be asked, especially because I was like, wait a minute, you're gonna send me money for the thing I was making already? Okay, I'll cash that check with no guilt at all in that regards. So is this aimbot for controller? Not 100%. It really is going to depend on how it feels. If you can shake that target lock, if that ends up like, I also thought they could they reduce the damage if you're in target lock mode as just kind of a way to offset it, but we'll see. Like, you won't be able to pull off a headshot, for example, because it's going to go with a body blow. So you are kind of losing some damage. But it's going to be interesting to see. I voted that they should just get rid of it in PvP, but here we are. All right. This is the thing I'm most interested in to check out, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get into a group of a 10-player raid, the Hive of Gorgons. One of the most exciting new features coming is the first ever 10-player raid, the Hive of Gorgons. After defeating Medusa in New Olympus, players will learn of the new threat. The Gorgons have risen, and they are raising an army of Herculine. To stop them, you're going to have to assemble a team of powerful players, enter the Hive, and navigate the gauntlet of challenging puzzles and epic boss battles. And then they've also done a deep dive on that. All right, new artifacts. Well, I see what he says, but you won't miss. You can, basically, off of what they said, because you can. It sounds like you're going to track slower. So just because it's locked on doesn't necessarily mean you're moving exactly 1-to-1 with it. So essentially, to dodge, you got to move left and right. So I mean, it's very well possible that this is gonna be a big problem, and it could also be something that, based off of these changes, that people are going to end up going like, oh yeah, they're not killing me in target lock, but time will tell, right? All right, new artifacts. Turn your enemy and empower against them, improve your survivability, and more. These 8 new artifacts will feature in its own quest line for upgrades will redefine your playstyle. Here's a preview of what you can expect. The light headwear, it's going to get you desperate energy. If you hit an enemy while your mana is below 50%, you gain 25 increased damage for 4 seconds. So that's a conditional. I don't necessarily enjoy conditionals, especially because I don't feel like, at least how I've got my builds, that's going to take advantage of my mana being low, but maybe that's something that's more advantageous in like a mutation run. Survivor coat, heavy chest. Survive. If you get hit while below 50% health, you gain 50% stamina and lose all debuffs. That sounds like a kick-ass perk. And gain a portion surge instantly refreshes your next used healing potion. That sounds like a kick-ass perk. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I like that one a lot. I'm gonna highlight that one. It's like, welcome to the tier list. Ghostly touch, medium gloves. Ghostly embrace. When you hit an empowered enemy, dispel 2 of their empowers, and you gain 10% in power. Azoth conductors, medium legwear. Magician's boons. While in medium armor weight, deal 15% more elemental damage. That's gonna give people some more options there. That's not that bad. Elemental band ring. Elemental affinity. When you hit a target with an elemental attack, not attunement or damage over time, you gain 4% in power for 6 seconds. It's a 10-second cooldown per elemental damage type. Max 1 stack per elemental damage. I guess that means you can, I'm gonna hit him with fire, and then I'm gonna swap over to ice, and I'm assuming that also means Void Gauntlet to a degree. We'll have to see. Trisha's Warhammer. Consume. Gain 25% lifesteal against knocked down enemies. That sounds really cool. Grace Greatsword. Offensive speed. When you hit and enter an offensive stance, gain 20% movement speed for 6 seconds. Keen speed on critical hit. Gain 20% haste for 7 seconds with a 7-second cooldown. I think that greatsword is actually a part of the battle pass at level 80 on the free track. So that might be something to kind of strive for, because I do like the greatsword. Power Stone Flail. Heavy burden. While above 90% health, attacks inflict 20% weakness for 5 seconds with a 5-second cooldown per target. Okay, very cool, very cool. We're gonna get this new season reward track. Season Pass gives players a variety of new ways to earn cosmetics, transmog tokens, artifacts, and more. Highlights of the premium reward track include 1 set of seasonal armor, 5 pieces, 9 seasonal weapon skins, 3 mount attachments, and 2 seasonal emotes. The free track is available to all players that also contain unique cosmetic items, while the premium reward track offers the ability to earn rewards for 20,000 marks of fortune. So somebody was asking earlier, and I do apologize if I missed that question, is that the battle pass is, you have a free tier that everybody gets, but $20 to unlock the premium tier, and they have like an upgrade where you unlock a couple of levels as well for that. Now, is the season pass still pay to win? Ooh, I think any game that has player trade is gonna, I like it runs the easy risk of having it as pay to win. I think what I've seen on it, like I've never felt like I've had an advantage of the free or the premium tier. It just is some additional rewards, and the gear that I get in the game already is there. For a new player, it might be a way of getting in a lot of resources, but anything that you spend money on that gives you anything, you know, like, it really is going to come down to your personal view of it. I would not say it's pay to win, but I would say, like, it definitely is dancing on that border, maybe putting a toe into the water and then, you know, kind of coming back into it. Yeah, there's gold in it. There's like marks of fortune in it. So it really depends on, like, and if that's a deal breaker for you, no judgment, but I don't see, I would argue though that they have the best monetization model around, because there is no subscription. It is a buy to play, and you don't need to purchase anything else after that. And then you can, most likely we'll have an expansion next year. Anyway, yeah, that's such a hard question to answer. I'm not trying to sit on the fence on this one. I'm just not worried about it, because how everything else is, right? Like, I've never felt like this game has been in my wallet, you know? And that's what the feeling I go after. Like, is this game actively making me like, I'm not playing, therefore I'm falling behind. I'm not paying, so I'm falling behind. I've never felt that yet once in this game. So that's where it's like, I think it's a good discussion topic, but one that I don't think it has enough of a problem to have me go and say that it's pay to win. So anyway, additional notable updates, repeatable endgame trials. The following content has been increased to level 70 and now includes updated rewards: the Sandworm, the Hatchery, and the Winter Winter Rune Forge trial. They've added swimming, new cinematic storytellings, new repeatable expedition quests, new fishing quests, 4th maximum character slot, cross-platform play, new starting experience, performance optimizations. This is incredible. Like, the performance of the beta, the build, like, holy crap, was like, and you go and play the current one, which goes offline here in the next hour. Yeah, like, it was 9-day. New standard worlds, that makes sense. Enhanced controller support, baby. The controller support feels so good. Player archetypes. This is a really good way to get players kind of playing around with the different weapons right out the game. The maximum gear score increased to 725. So that means that I just have 25 levels to gain, and then I can take a year off. I don't know. That's where, when it's all said and done, what does the devs do to follow up this update? What does the next season look like? How is the content coming? And the DirectX 12 was so good. And so that was something that I turned on. Oh, is this set up as Throne of Liberty? It's like, or are you saying that this isn't Throne of Liberty as a part of like the pay to win conversation? It's like, no, this is definitely not TNL in this case. World Experience, Expeditions, the Lazarus Instrumentality. Oh, they've added fix. Okay, this is was like, we already had this dungeon. What are they? They're just going to go through all of it. So they kind of give a highlight of what that means. Quality of life improvements. Water ripple effects now work normally when moving through the water, and beast mode rune active. They fixed an issue that caused players to have incorrect pose and sheathing and unsheathing weapons after sprinting. They fixed an issue that caused the Tondo upgrade, and again, not to trigger, when the damage over time runeless was equipped. They fixed an issue that caused two-handed weapons to not be wielded properly in certain situations, like the transmog menu. They fixed an issue that caused players to not see animations of applying weapon buffs and coatings. The healing numbers now appear when healing self. Hey, all right, good deal. They fixed an issue that allowed players to move and attacking after using unstuck while auto running. They fixed an issue that caused players to move at walking speed after shooting an arrow. They fixed an issue that allowed some weapon abilities to be used while carrying Purifying Flame. They fixed an issue that caused the Azoth staff to appear sheathed as in the waist during specific circumstances. They fixed an issue that prevented the inventory menu from opening if opened at the end of certain animations. They fixed an issue that caused players to slide when backpedaling and casting while fishing. They fixed an issue that caused player momentum to continue while gathering. They fixed an issue that caused going prone to prevent drowning in water. They fixed an issue that caused a short side animation when weapon swapping and immediately running. They fixed a rare issue that caused players to get stuck when falling. And they fixed a very rare issue that caused soul trials to fail at the start. So that was kind of neat. They're like, hey, we're going to talk about the Lazarus instrumentality as an expedition. Here's our notable fixes that don't actually apply to that dungeon, but it's just general fixes overall. For camera changes, the self-correcting follow camera has received some tweaks to make its pitch changes smoother and better to conform to the terrain. They fixed an issue that caused the player character to always face the camera while rotating in the store. They fixed the camera glitch that caused when changing from locked on state to aim down sight state. They disabled free look camera during integration camera states. The camera free look and cycle weapon modifier cannot be bound to the same key anymore to avoid confusion when cycling weapons and changing camera view. Camera free look is now unbound in the default settings. They fixed the reduced vertical camera movement in this issue caused by jumping into an inclined object such as a rock or hill from a lower elevation. They defaulted the camera aim recharging option to the true across all platforms. The free look camera now remains functional while an inventory screen and is now not permanently toggled on when entering that inventory screen. Woo, yeah. XX clarifies, yes, they were referring to pay to win. Speaking of which, guys, pay to win. Thanks, guys, for the 48 likes on the stream. And welcome in to the 41 people over on Twitch. We had 3 likes on Facebook. What's going on tonight? Thank you, guys. And we had Whoa dropping 100 bits on the channel. I appreciate that. You guys are so generous. All right. Let's see here. I'm Fishing Dark Wolf says pay to win. Yeah, the PS2. Yeah. If I miss a question, guys, just make sure you tag it Ginger Prime, or something like that, just so hopefully I can keep track of that. And then when we bring back in the voice team here, hopefully we can all keep up on if there's any other questions after we get through the notes. We are halfway through, which is kind of I've done these things that like were hours because they were just like, here's the 1,000 bug fixes that have happened. AI updates. The Stagger system. Hitting an AI enemy with a light or heavy attack as well as certain abilities can now cause an interrupting reaction to hit called Stagger. The stagger caused by those attacks is limited by a cooldown that is triggered after a certain number of staggers, tuned per weapon and attack. For melee attacks, the cooldown is generally... Thank you for the follow, but I totally lost the plot because it's blocking the thing now. Generally, cooldown generally takes 2 to 3 staggers to trigger the resets after 2 seconds of the enemy being hit. For ranged attacks, cooldown triggers after a single stagger, but resets after 2 seconds, regardless of the additional ranged hits. The abilities described as causing a stagger will always cause a stagger, regardless of the state of the limiter cooldown. AI enemies with silver and gold nameplates will be less susceptible to staggers. Really glad to see the stagger system brought in. I feel something like it's important to me, and especially in these kind of games, but we'll see how it feels. Yeah, and then Tania says they hope the launch is smooth. 12 a.m. You got your drinks and munchies ready. I hope the launch is smooth. I'm gonna do some work in the morning, and then we'll try to go live maybe around 9 Central or something like that, and play. We'll see. Notable fixes: fort targeting dummies don't show their health bar anymore. Fixed an issue where health shown on nameplates wasn't constantly updating properly. They fixed an issue where ranged AI can sometimes narrowly miss the player when shooting. Threat generation: increased threat generation via blocking by 100%. That's cool. Increased threat generation from sword light and heavy attacks. Increased threat generation from shield tree passive final blow from 15 to 40%. They increased the taunt threat boost percentage from 15 to 35%, and they reduced threat generation from life staff and void gauntlets. It sounds like they want tanks to tank and not have to worry about healers. Like, those changes alone, I felt like I've never had issues with threat in the game, and this seems like these are some nice changes that they're adding there. So we'll see how that's going. All right, let's see here. And Mike's asking, what time do I play? I play in Central Time. So I'm in what I say Texas Central Time. But yeah, like, and I play on the East Coast server because that's closer physically. Combat changes. For some general combat changes, they updated damage scaling to lower damage increase when using only one weapon. They fixed an issue that prevented attacks or abilities when attempting to actively invite while in certain menus or interactions. They fixed an issue where weapon reticle would briefly flicker and sheathing or switching weapons. They fixed an issue where weapon reticles would not reset when sheathing ranged weapons. They fixed an issue where ranged reticles would persist if a weapon was sheathed just before a cutscene. They fixed an issue that caused impact effects to play even though no damage was dealt to the target. They fixed an issue that caused the 50 Constitution attribute to unintentionally stack repeatedly. Also, they removed the health condition to reduce the value to compensate for it always being active. Constitution 50 attribute bonus now gives 1.5% gathering luck instead of the tool durability. They updated stamina damage values to be consistent across all tiers of the same weapon types. All tiers will now match the value of the tier 5 item stamina values. They removed accuracy reductions while jumping. You cannot fire a ranged weapon in that position. They improved animation bending or blending when canceling dodges, full body attacks and reactions with ranged attacks. They made basic attack projectiles spawn a few frames sooner to make them line up better with the animations. They updated the tooltips for some mastery points to better call out that they increase the base damage of varying attacks. Target lock added in bindings for allied target locked to the controller remapping screen. They fixed an issue with target lock where being close to your target would cause your attacks to miss. They decreased sensitivity for selecting new targets with enemy and ally target lock on, and they fixed an issue that caused target lock on to not turn off the auto run. More noticeable fixes. Fixed an issue where holding basic attack and block at the same time could sometimes prevent players from blocking. They fixed an issue that entered in game cutscenes while performing various aim block actions and swapping weapons would cause players to get stuck. They fixed an issue where depleting stamina while blocking would cause a desync. They fixed an issue where if players die in the air in motion that they would remain in motion. They fixed an issue where players could get the double dodge with half the stamina loss while using ranged weapons. They fixed an issue that caused the Flalix affix to result in projectiles being stuck mid-air. They fixed an issue that allowed attacks to block and cancel sheathing animations. They fixed an issue that caused wrong animations to play when and after sheathing a weapon. They fixed an issue where players could be pushed when uninterruptible if they were hit with attacks and did not trigger a stagger. They fixed an issue that allowed target spells to be aimed on targets out of the range despite being unable to cast. They fixed an issue that caused players to walk in place when holding forward and backwards simultaneously. They fixed an issue that caused knockdown while prone to put players back to where the impact was received. All right. Barn says, oh my gosh, yes, more threat. Finally, can be a threatening boy. And yes, 10.5 hours roughly until the game and the servers come back online, assuming everything goes smoothly. This is New World Aeternum, gentlemen. This does not mean that things will go according to plan. So we will wait and see on that one. Weapons, the bow. Fixed an issue that caused rain of arrows to not constantly trigger when using the ability button to activate it while aiming. They fixed numerous issues that caused abilities to not buffer correctly. They updated the aiming abilities, penetrating shot, poison shot, rain of arrows to not cancel when pressing aim, but when releasing aim while they are active. They fixed an issue that caused the rain of arrows ability to affect to not spawn at maximum range. Penetrating shot would now support smart cast. Penetrating shot and poison shot can now be fired while crouching, and fixed an issue that allowed faster firing than intended through ability canceling. For the blunderbuss, they fixed an issue of the double down effect not affecting mortar charge. They fixed an issue that caused the blunderbuss to not reload after certain cutscenes. They fixed an issue that prevented incendiary burst from applying its effect when swapping weapons. Double down now works properly when weapon swapping after using mortar or splitting grenades. For fire staff, the pillar of fire will no longer slightly push back enemies. They fixed an issue that caused the fire staff burnout explosion audio to play even when the heat up upgrade wasn't unlocked. They fixed an issue that allowed jump to cancel the pillar of fire aiming. They fixed an issue where pillar of fire tagged 2 instances of damage with a single use. They fixed an issue that prevented pillar of fire and meteor shower aim from canceling into other fire staff abilities. For the flail, which is one of my favorite weapons, fixed an issue where the arcane eruption could sometimes miss knockdown or crawling enemies. Okay, good. Fixed an issue that caused barrage first hit during the leap to not hit. I felt like that's hit me before. They fixed an issue where the bulldoze upgrade not properly reducing stamina cost to 0. They fixed an issue that caused the ironclad's superiority mastery point to not always grant fortify. It now correctly only grants fortify when the tower shield is equipped. They updated the wording on the flail ability, Arcane Smite, and to make it clearer how the impairment debuff works, they updated the deflecting frailty tooltip to make the functionality more clear. They also fixed an issue where flail would rotate too much when holding rotate with the controller. And thank you, Crota, OG, Aura, Mr. Rilo, Horax, for the follows this evening. We had a couple other follows as well. Jada, Monster, Dynasty, Armong, Woe, and Tronny. Thank you guys. I hope you guys are having a great night. Appreciate y'all being here. Crotha says, skip the fire staff. Let's get to the real weapons. I knew I like you, Crota. All right. Great Axe. Fixed an issue that caused the Great Axe gravity perk to not always appear by modifying its functionality. Previously, it was 0.25 second duration, even though the tooltip said 0.33, but it would now be applied to 33 seconds, 0.33 seconds after the pull to allow for the pull to finish before triggering the root. Since the duration was so low, it caused issues where it added to the remove before the visuals could appear on the target. To address this, they are increasing the duration slightly, but adding in a slight cooldown timer to prevent the increased duration from being too strong. For the Greatsword, they updated Unflinching Blade passive to grant grit after 10 frames into the charge of the heavy attack to match the functionality of similar passes of the Warhammer and Great Axe. They fixed an issue where Roaring Rupture could pull targets past the player instead of the center of the impact point. They fixed an issue that caused the Greatsword Onslaught stance heavy attack charge speed to increase when in an exhausted state. They fixed an issue that caused the Faultless Defender passive to not trigger properly. They fixed an issue that allowed the Greatsword offense and defensive stances to both be on at the same point. For the Hatchet, they fixed an issue that prevented attacks from buffering during affected throw. Raging Torrent can now be redirected using directional inputs when the camera direction for melee attacks is turned off. They fixed an issue that caused animations from freezing and throwing the hatchet while jumping, and they fixed an issue that caused Feral Rush's dispatch upgrade to not properly apply the damage increase on both hits. For the Ice Gauntlet, they fixed an issue that caused the Ice Pylon to shoot over enemies. They fixed an issue that deactivating Entomb via the breakout would activate Defiant Freeze. They fixed an issue where increased mana regen would persist briefly after breaking Entomb. They fixed an issue that caused characters to become unresponsive if opening the inventory while activating the Entomb ability. And they fixed an issue that didn't clear Entomb properly with a Heart Rune when it was activated. Life Staff, here we go. Here's my next big weapon. They fixed an issue that caused life staff ability buffers and cancels to not work in most cases. Fixed an issue that caused accidental basic attack buffering on the life staff and fire staff. They fixed an issue that allowed orb of protection and beacon to be canceled as soon as the projectiles spawned. They added in, excuse me. There we go. They added in an option menu to automatically lock on target when starting the life staff healing ability. They fixed an issue that caused the bend light passive to not refresh the duration of the buff for a full 5 seconds within each dodge. For the musket, they renamed musket backdraft ability to ignition. So they didn't share a name with a fire staff ability. They fixed an issue where critical reload was able to trigger with more than 5 seconds between headshots. They fixed an issue that caused musket projectile visual effects to sometimes appear in the wrong place. All right. The rapier, they fixed an issue that caused Hondo to go on cooldown with no effect if it was canceled at certain frames during the evade. They fixed an issue where the backside raptor perk caused the 15% damage increase to apply to all damage, not just crit damage. They fixed an issue where the 25 bonus from strength worked on the bleed from flurry. They reduced rapier damage over time from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. For the rapier, they reduced the damage over time duration, so a nerf there. Rapier's been just really powerful. Rapier, again, the and again perk now works properly when the weapon swapping after using Tondo on a single target. They reduced the damage of evade Adgilio upgrade from 15 to 10%. They fixed an issue that caused and again to only apply after blocking. For the spear, fixed an issue that prevented weapon swaps from buffering during the javelin animation. They fixed an issue that caused the spear's javelin ability to not activate during the dodge. They fixed an issue that caused the merciless strength passive to not trigger. And they fixed an issue that caused Cyclone Invigorating combo to inconsistently track the 2 hits. For the Void Gauntlet, they added they fixed an issue where Scream could not hit blocking players. They fixed an issue that caused unintended speed boost when canceling attack after dodges with certain abilities. They slightly increased the hitbox on Void Blade heavy attack to make it properly match the attack visuals. They addressed some Void Blade hit registration issues by increasing the size of the hitboxes slightly. They fixed an issue where the Void Blade attacks triggered the ranged sprint delay. For the Warhammer, they fixed an issue that caused Warhammer's shockwave ability to stun enemies 6 frames later than intended. The Path of Destiny can now be aimed while starting the attack using directional inputs when camera direction for melee is turned off. And as the Radona, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome in, everybody. I'm like almost out of my tea. Like, gotta keep the vocals juiced up. Richard says there's a lot they touched on. Yes. It's interesting because this seemed like there were some, nerfs like with the rapier. But what's also interesting is that it was mostly primarily fixes of bugs and things like that, which will make, I think, these things feel really, really good. All right. Arch War says, what's up, guys? Yes. Lots of things going on with that. All right, game mode updates, 3v3 arena. Fixed an issue where the Phoenix artifact could trigger after round ends, leaving players dead in the next round. Woo! Duels, they fixed an issue where players in a duel could receive buffs from players outside the duel. And what's up, Azarona with the Prime sub. Eagle Garrett, dude, let's get you a shout out with the raid of 62 folks. Welcome in, guys. That's going to push up our member goal to 11. And just for anybody who's keeping score at home, every 25, I gift out 5. If you guys aren't following Eagle Garrett, dude, is an amazing dude. Let's see here. Let me go to dashboard and see if I can gently give him a nice little shout out for that beautiful raid. Shout out. And make sure I get the spelling right. E-A-G-L-E. I hope are you feeling better, Eagle? Are you feeling better? Oh, and Prime. Another Prime sub comes in. Thank you guys so much for this incredible support. I really appreciate it. Me and Julie, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Also, Jack, my editor. Big help when we get those Prime subs freaking coming in. But Solemn was actually, it was a Prime sub, but for 19 months. Woo! Welcome in, everybody, and thank you so much, Eagle. Yes. Dude, I love the emotes, man. Looking freaking good, dude. All right, we got so much going on. Good, I'm glad you're feeling much better, dude. Oh, my chat froze. There we go. I'm glad I brought that up. So that's perfect. That's perfect, guys. All right, we're still going through the notes. We're almost done though, which is really great. And then we'll bring back in the Discords, the folks hanging out. It seems like Solemn and the Hulk fan is there. So we'll be kind of talking about the patch notes and more. You guys are always welcome to join in. It is free to be a part of this community. The top link in the description will get you into the Discord, or you can use the Discord command to jump in. All right, economy, progression, and gear. Evasions have been disabled for the first week of standard worlds to give companies time to gear up and prepare. Battle bread is now set to not be cleansed by the Nature's Wrath artifact. Coatings now work more like honing stones. They aren't tied to specific weapons and will instead last for their full duration, even if the current weapon is unequipped or changed. They fixed an issue where potion purchases from the Fort Armory during war or invasion did not play animations. They fixed an issue where the auto artifact unique perk was not triggering. They updated the tooltip for Scorpion Sting perk, and clarified the house set a flat value that cannot be reduced by non-conditional cooldown reductions. Any sort of conditional cooldown reduction is still reduced the cooldown after it is set. Transmogs tokens can no longer be obtained from elite chest. Woo! That seems like maybe more of a money play. Like, I thought, yeah, them taking out the transmog tokens from the elite chest. That's kind of a bummer. Hopefully, there's another better way to kind of earn them without having to open your wallet for those who really enjoy the transmog. For the perks, fixed an issue where shirking elemental damage perks were improperly flagged as empowers. They reduced shirking elemental damage perk max power from 45 to 30%. They made functional changes to Healing Breeze. They increased the value of up to 16%. They removed the activation cooldown for the ability and changed it to be an application cooldown for the status effect, and the perk, not activation. Cooldown is now per target as it is applied, but it will also be more beneficially to use this when healing others as a healer. They added functionality to reduce the potency of Healing Breeze when applied to self by 35%. They fixed an issue where the Healing Tomb perk would not always be applied. They fixed an issue where Brutal Stone Form applied the Fortify and other Stone Form variants. They fixed an issue where Heart Room activation would not constantly trigger the Purifying Heart and Healing Effect perks. For other noticeable fixes, they fixed an issue where pirated ranged weapons, certain items from the Barnacles and Black Powder Mutator, will roll with the Rogue perk, a non-fictional perk on their way. Hype Train, wow. Oh my gosh, tier 1 month of sub for Martin. Thank you so much. Pushing us to 13 on the day. Thank you very much. I haven't seen that new animation. We got a hype train, guys. Thank you all so much for that. All right. They fixed an issue where the pirated weapons. They fixed the issue where the premium glow worm bait incorrectly said it worked in fresh water. They fixed an issue that caused the Mastiff pet animation not to loop properly. They fixed an issue that caused players to randomly lose 1 experience point. And for the mounts, they fixed the mount quest. Stag with the subscription of the Prime. Thank you, Stag, for using those Bezos bucks over here on me as well. For the mount quest, now shows the hotkey needed to summon the mount. They fixed an issue causing large positional desyncs when auto running while mounted after an extended period of lag. They fixed an issue that caused the mount UI to remain active while entering in an expedition. They fixed an issue where they reduced vertical camera movement not to apply when jumping while mounted. They fixed an issue where the player's stamina bar would remain hidden if they had logged out while mounted, and they fixed an issue where some mounts would not appear in the collection that was fit to open. And we got another member in with Captain Galleon. Dude, how you been, Cap? I hope you've been well, sir. 3 months, dude, with that Prime sub. Thank you for the 3 months of support for those Bezos bucks, dude. Loving it. Loving it. All right. The UI, the UX, the social. This is the last part. We did it, guys. All right. Woo. All right. Maximum character limit as the character names has been updated from 15 to 16. Factional switching cooldown, which activates after the first faction switch, has been reduced to 30 days. There is now zero tolerance filter aimed at very specific terms set through in-game chat, whether or not the language filter is enabled. If the filter picks up any instance of those terms, The chat messages will be rejected by the server silently, and the messages will not be sent to the world. The UI now closes when using Unstuck, similar to how Recall works and ends. They increase the disconnect rejoin grace period in Crossworld modes, War and Invasion, from 1 minute to 3 minutes in response to players' feedback. That seems like a really great feature. Notable fixes. Oh yeah, Stag says, sorry, I forgot I had my Prime sub available. Dude, you don't owe me an apology. You guys don't owe me anything. I really just appreciate the opportunity to hang out with you guys and have fun. And as a Rondona gifting out 5 community subs to the channel. That takes us to 20 out of 25. Thank you guys absolutely so much for that support. We do have a Discord. You can use the Discord command in chat over on Discord. If you have your Discord linked up to your Twitch and you are like a sub, or you have a gifted sub, you should actually see the server as well. There's lots of little perks and things like that included. Now, hopefully that bot commands works. Otherwise, if you look at any of the content I make, the top link in the description will get you to all the social stuff, all the good stuff out there. All right. Let's see. We'll continue on. OCD Gaming, Obi Tai, so many follows. Martin Bassarelli, Splitana 615. Thank you guys. All right, they fixed a cooldown UI not being updated properly and cooldown reduction abilities. They fixed an issue where the target lock icon could appear out of place on resolutions other than 1920 by 1080. They fixed an issue where the number of revives remaining while at death's door could be higher than what was actually available in instance game modes. They fixed an issue that caused the global refining buff by the Weaver's Fin fort to not show as applied. They fixed various issues in-game scoreboard and Outpost Rush, team colors not applying, teams being swapped, and scores not updating. They fixed an issue where characters in standard worlds, formerly Fresh Start worlds, couldn't transfer to other standard worlds. And they fixed an issue where matchmaking Q HUD would persist into matches. They fixed an issue that caused the post-progress FX texture to get stuck on screen. We made it through the notes, guys. We talked about so much stuff before going to the notes, but 30 minutes isn't bad. 30 minutes isn't bad. If you guys are watching this as some kind of VOD, if you guys are watching this as a highlight and you hung out for the patch notes and as well as all the thanks of support, thank you guys so much for being here. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I will try to have these up before the server goes up, but we will see. If nothing else, it'll be a nice archive for those who want to kind of jump back into it. Pix Bud says, hey dude, what time is the game going to be up? Pacific time. I believe it's going to be up at 6 a.m. Pacific time. The game will be up. That's 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern, assuming that we don't see any kind of problems or issues that arise with that. Now, I've brought back in the Discord group because that was a fun little break to make sure we got through all the patch notes, and we did it. And you guys really just showed up. So what do you guys like? I don't know what you guys have been talking about, but there's just been so many messages.
It's been very quiet in here.
Yeah.
It's been very quiet.
I see the Hulk fan rejoin, Solemn. Yeah.
No, I mean, it looks like a lot of just bug fixes, right?
Yeah.